The second race of the 2025 NTT IndyCar Series is in the books, the race from the Thermal Club. And we're going to grab a cup of coffee this morning and go over some of the topics that I want to give my take on here on 33 Dreams of Indy and get your reactions in the comments as to what you thought of the race itself. So race held out at the Thermal Club, and Álex Palou, what a clinical drive that he put on. He was just lurking, a lot like he did in St. Pete, of taking control late in the race. Made it look very easy at the end with the strategy that they had of using the alternate tires, of saving a set of alternate tires. Pato O'Ward, we'll talk about him in just a little bit, led 51 of the 65 laps, but they made a decision to go on to one last set of the primary tires. It was a new sticker set, but the speed that Palou was able to get out of the alternate tires was something else. I've mentioned this maybe before. I'm very surprised with all of the discussion that's going on about the Formula One team, the Cadillac Formula One team, other than some legal issues that there may be between Palou and McLaren, yet his name has not come up. Fastest to win, he's done all of this. Number of victories that he's had in less than 100 starts. This was the 100th start for Colton Herta in the series, but he's already won 3 championships, going for the three-peat this year. How did he make it work when others were fading that they went through? So spectacular drive, really, when you see that moves and the dicing back and forth between himself and Lou Garden, and then being able to not only just get past Pato, but leave him appropriate for the Thermal Club, leave him in the dust. Next topic, TV coverage. I was going to say that I'm going to show you some highlights and then go to a black screen, but that might have been too early. Was it Fox? Was it IndyCar that dropped the ball? I know there's a lot of finger pointing online towards Fox. Yet, from what I've heard on trackside with Kevin Lee, Kurt Cavan, when Kevin was talking about the way in which the production was being done at St. Pete, it sounds like that it's a little bit more of a partnership this year, that they were new trucks in comparison to what was doing the broadcast last year. I don't know if that means that IndyCar Productions is involved and that there is a joint venture or a joint production that goes on between themselves with the providing of the equipment and then the broadcast that goes out. I was looking at it. I was doing our watch along live stream, and next thing you know, you've got NASCAR coming up on the screen. I grew up in the age of cable TV, and even back in the days of Atlanta Braves baseball, they were able to put a little graphic up that stated that they were in a rain delay when they were showing Andy Griffin's. I know they mentioned it a couple times, but it would have been nice to see some sort of graphic that came on there on the NASCAR race to let folks know that they were working on it and they would be back to the race as soon as possible, that this just wasn't a permanent changeover. There already was going to be a drop-off in the number of fans that were watching the race. We knew this because of a couple factors. A 3-week break. We've got to get out of this 3-week break. There's enough action that goes on in IndyCar, and there would be enough to discuss that we need to have races on a continuous basis. Look at the buzz that Formula One has already picked up. NASCAR goes week to week to week, and then we're faced with another 3 weeks. Another aspect of that, March Madness was going on, scheduling the time at the exact same time as the NASCAR race. And then also something that I observed with the number of limited fans that you had, the social media buzz for the race was nowhere near what it was at St. Pete. You did not have the influencers. You did not have as many Instagram posts as Facebook posts, not as many TikToks that were getting folks that were not there at the race being engaged. So it'll be interesting to see what the fallout is of this coverage and whether or not it will have any sort of impact going forward. Next point, Pato O'Ward, absolutely fantastic run that he did. He was able to dominate the first portions of the race. Started on pole, was leading for much of the race. 51 of the 65 laps, as I mentioned, and then on the final stop. This is where in the qualifying show I was talking about strategy as to the selection of tires. And it would be interesting to find out, did they still have a set of the alternate sticker tires, or was that a decision that they had already run out of their sticker tires? Because when Pato went out for the Firestone Fast 6, he was running a set of used alternates in order to catch the pole position. The used alternates for Palou did not come in quite as well. That's why he wasn't able to jump up to the pole. He started third. So was this a decision based upon the comfort level of what they had already been running with the primaries, or did they not have another set? If I was able to dig in a little bit deeper, that's what I would be looking at. But was there anything else that you might have observed that he did wrong for that final set and that final stint? Once that Palou caught him, once Palou was able to get past him, he left him in the dust. So we'll see how Pato bounces back at the Long Beach Grand Prix. But again, we've got 3 weeks, and he has 3 weeks for him to stew about this before he gets to have another opportunity out there on the track. Can somebody explain to me how you run over an air gun that was visibly seen on the broadcast and not get a penalty? Felix Rosenqvist, he runs over the air gun, no penalty. Now, this was the FIA when they were talking about that Lewis Hamilton was, 8 millimeters of the bottom of the car had been scraped off and didn't have compliance, the FIA would have already disqualified him. I kid because I care. Yet we look at this and say that really he's leading a bit of a charmed life as we look over here. I also don't know, thanks to Bob Pockris, we're going to thank him a couple times here, but did you realize that when he was at the Barber test, that he actually had a time where he flipped the car? Felix is being pretty lucky lately. Thank you for your average person 0 for posting a photo that they found over here on Reddit. I try not to go down into the black hole too often, yet it was interesting to see that. So Felix, you got 9 lives that you're living on right now. But how is that inconsistent for that not being some sort of infraction that we would have seen? I was expecting to see some sort of penalty come down. Boy, talk about Bob Pockris picking something up. The tensions between McLaughlin and DeFrancesco. Scott McLaughlin started back in the field, was dive bombed, shall we say, with DeFrancesco clearly making contact with the middle of the car. This was not a wheel-to-wheel touch. This was the front wheels going into the side of McLaughlin's car, causing him to spin. There was a interaction, shall we say, between them. This was picked up on IndyCar on Fox. And when the two of them were able to get together, Bob Pockris was the one that posted this as well. I'll go over to my other screen and we'll take a look at that as well as they go through, but you'll be able to find it yourself on the socials.
Yeah. What are you doing? We're supposed to be side by side in turn 15. You close the fucking door. Why? We're supposed to be side by side.
You gotta drive
no, we're supposed to be side.
You gotta drive through for a reason.
And so Scotty McLaughlin is saying you got a drive-through for a reason. I'll let you look at it. Probably not safe for the particular language here. But was Scott McLaughlin right in what he was talking about? Was this DeFrancesco should have had it? Was he? I wouldn't say blocking, but was he? Needing the position? I'm sure DeFrancesco felt that McLaughlin turned down into him and that was the issue that goes on. But what's your take between that? I know in the past years, a couple years ago, there were some thoughts online and with others about Devlin DeFrancesco, and is this his fault or not? Again, 3 weeks for these drivers to stew it over, and plenty of time between now and Christmas to make their decision as to whether or not they're going to have Christmas cards for each other. As we see Palou celebrating his victory. Someone that's looking to get off to a good start. Let's see, we'll slip forward here. Christian Lundgaard, a strong podium finish that he had there. And we saw a glimpse of him there in the background on the podium. He showed pace. Had to sit out 10 minutes of the practice session, although he was fastest in that particular practice session. But in doing so, didn't get as many laps. But within the race, the duel that he put on between the back and forth between himself and Palou was some of the finest racing that I've seen in quite a while. They were flat out going back and forth. Lundgaard had come into the pits, and his pit strategy was always coming in 2 to 3 laps earlier, so he had tires that were used just a little bit more. But still, the back and forth, the crossovers, the quadruple crossovers, sounded like we were doing some sort of figure skating move there, but they were able to put on a heck of a show. And yes, that portion was actually on Fox once they'd come back. Hopefully all the viewers did as well, because it was great action, as good as anything that you would have seen in any of the Formula One races so far, or what was going on over in NASCAR. The recovery for Will Power. This was a double recovery. So it was almost like recovering from COVID and the flu at the same time. After his start of not even making it through one lap at St. Pete, and then moving from 21st to 6th, he just quietly kept picking them off, doing an undercut, and then as the cars and as others were fading, Kyle Kirkwood, for example, whose last set of tires on his last stint caused him to drop back a couple positions, and Will Power just kept methodically moving up to 6th position. Very much needed for him in a contract year. A lot of discussion as to Willie P, as to where he will be next year, and I know that the Penske team has talked about that this is something that they would like to get handled by the end of May. This was a good showing for Will Power to get back up through the field and to be able to salvage the day with the 6th place and get his season back on track. So there were no cautions in this particular race. Do you consider it a snooze fest? Was it a good race? I thought that the race was a little bit better than I thought with the number of passes that they had. I had written this down as I think it was 200 and some passes that were made within the race. Of course, some of those occur when cars are pitting to go through it. We had a one leader for 51 laps of the race. There was action in the back of the pack that we saw. Malukas made a run up through the field a little bit. The issues for Marcus Ericsson. But what did you consider this? Was a good race? Would you like to see him go back to thermal again? If nothing more than a filler on the schedule for us to be able to have races that go on? Or do they need to make some changes? Did you think that it was actually a snooze fest? I'm going to give the race a thumbs up because the alternate versus primary strategy actually did come in, and it led to that back and forth that we had for the new Lundgaard and Palou, the actions that we're seeing on that, and then the ability for Palou, here we go, back and forth as to, look how close he gets in the back bumper there. Thank you, Indianapolis Motor Speedway and NTT IndyCar Series for the brief footage that we're able to show you here. Qualifying for a team of their caliber, Team Penske went out to the desert and laid an egg. They started 17th, 21st, 25th. Really unheard of. It had been 3 or 4 years since one of their drivers had not made the Fast 12. Is there a deeper issue that's going on here? Will they be able to bounce back at Long Beach? Or are there others that are celebrating because they'd like to see the rise of Arrow McLaren, Andretti doing better this weekend, and what was the domination so far by Chip Ganassi Racing and the partnership even that they've had with Meyer Shank with their improvement that they've been able to make. One of my last points here, as we see Palou celebrating the victory there, appropriate timing. The Palou Championship Watch is already on as we switch over and take a look at the championship standings here on IndyCar.com. 102 points already this season. Pato O'Ward got the bonus points for leading the most laps, but yet he's 39 points behind. His salvaged race that he had at St. Pete, that helped him with 1 top 5 and 1 top 10. Scott Dixon with the 2 top 10s now, 61 points. Christian Lundgaard at 60 points. I'm sure with a new team at the start of the season, he would have taken that in a heartbeat. And then I talked about the partnership with Meyer Shank Racing and Chip Ganassi Racing, paying dividends for Felix the cat and his 9 lives that he has there, not being penalized sure did help him because he stays in 5th position. Kirkwood, Newgarden, Herta, Rossi, great to see Alexander Rossi up in the top 10, and then that drops Scotty McLaughlin from 3rd position all the way down to 10th with the weekend that he had. So it's not too early to be talking about championship, just giving you a framework. Can anyone catch him? This year's Indy 500 is not a double points race. So from that standpoint, somebody can't do the catch up on the oval the way that they normally would. Now, last part as we wrap up our post-race show, there's somebody heating up about this time of year. I bring him up because he's one of the 7 drivers that will be making a one-off appearance in the Indianapolis 500, and that's Kyle Larson. There definitely were a lot of Kyle Larson shirts and hats last year as he attempted to do the double. The rain in Charlotte prevented him from doing so, yet he has raced an Indy 500 now, has gone through live pit stops, and he's heating up. He won 2 of the 3 races this weekend. They're at Homestead, running his ever-familiar upper line. 30 wins in NASCAR in their top series, faster than Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and a number of others. May is just around the corner. So He's heating up at the right time and will definitely be a threat when we get to the month of May. So those are my takes on the weekend at Thermal, sharing a cup of coffee with you. I would love to hear your comments. What did you think about the race? What did you think about Thermal? What did you think about Álex Palou and his battle that went back and forth between himself and the other drivers that were there? So we'll have other content throughout the season between now and Long Beach. I'd love for you to subscribe. 33 Dreams of Indy, also part of the Here and Now Sports Network. So we appreciate their support. And until next time, keep dreaming.